Hi, thanks so much for tuning in to Mom Boss Chronicles. My name is Jen.
This is Sue. And this is Danielle.
We are three moms that work together in real estate and are good friends, and here to talk to you about fun topics, the good, the bad, the ugly of mom struggles, real estate, and other fun stuff. So make sure to subscribe to listen to more.
Welcome back to Mom Boss Chronicles. We are here today with a guest. We're going to be talking about one and done? ? Jen, tell us who we have here today.
Yes, today we have my really good friend, Dawn Siegel. I've known Dawn for over 10 years, probably like 15 years now. And the best thing about knowing you, I think, is knowing that we've known each other from our single 20-year-old life to, getting married. We got married the same year.
Yep.
In Mexico. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. And we had children right around the same time. Our kids are in the same grade. We had kids like 9 months apart.
Yeah, 9 months.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
So it was amazing to go from, being singles to married to like moms. Like we've gone through journeys
All
together.
different, yes, events of life.
Yes. And Dawn is an amazing friend, an awesome wife, a great mother.
Thank
and
you.
Dawn is the mother of Harper, one child.
Yep, I have one child, Harper, who just turned 7, July 16th.
oh.
Yeah, and this actually, first of all, thank you so much for asking me to come on the show today, because this is a very important just topic to
Mhm.
me, having one child. And
When
just
you were sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
When you were thinking about having kids, in your mind, was it one whenever you thought about being a mom?
Great question. So I never envisioned having just one child. I
Okay.
just kind of feel like, you get married, you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
I just always envisioned having at least 2.
Okay.
And then after I had Harper, it was a little difficult after I had her. Being pregnant with Harper was wonderful. I loved my pregnancy. Like I had no problems. I actually enjoyed every minute of it till the end. Even labor and delivery was easy for me. Like I honestly, I was very blessed with that. After I had Harper, it was tough. I know, one of your, I think it was your recent episodes also was postpartum. And that's something I would have been able to relate to.
Yeah. Did
I-
you feel like you were just, I guess, thrown into
Yeah, I
like-
think I felt like I just feel like I wasn't feeling the way that I was supposed to,
Oh,
quote
yeah.
unquote, supposed to feel
Yeah.
like as a new mom.
Yeah.
I had other friends already that had children, and they would talk about how wonderful it was. And
yeah.
it's this blessing that words can't describe until you have a child of your own. And then once I had Harper, I just felt horrible because I wasn't feeling all those feelings.
Right.
And I had her in the summertime and, I was thinking before I had her, oh, it's a great time where I can sit outside, enjoy the beautiful weather, just
Like you're
soak.
picturing postpartum to be idealistic, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
thinking I could soak up all of her, soak up the sun. And instead
And my baby and just
yeah.
Yeah.
And instead I'm feeling pretty miserable. I'm feeling
from the
upset
very
that,
beginning.
yeah. Because I also was, after I had Harper, I had an episiotomy. So the healing process after I had her also was pretty rough too. At that time, I was also living with my husband's in-laws. So we didn't have our own house either at the time, which made it, a little, yeah,
Like displaced. Yeah.
exactly.
Wasn't your own space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just her being up all night crying. I was just worried, am I waking everyone else up too?
Yeah.
Things like that. And even just little things I just wanted to wake up in the morning and just throw my hair in a ponytail and put on my flip-flops and run to Dunkin' Donuts for a nice coffee. And I couldn't, it wasn't that easy. It just took an hour just to do something like that. And, I just was so confused because I was like, this is what I wanted. And we were trying for a little while to finally get pregnant. And I'm so happy I did. I'm like, and why am I not as happy as I feel like I should be?
Did you talk to your husband about that?
I did. We both had a little bit of a rough time in the beginning.
Like an adjustment as a parent.
Yes. Harper was also a pretty difficult child. She was rough. I tried breastfeeding and it just didn't work. I tried, it wasn't working. And I honestly, I know there's some people that says you should breastfeed your child, but I wasn't worried about what anyone thought. I was like, I'm doing what's
Good.
easiest for
Good.
me.
Very smart.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, what's best for me? So we did the formula. And it took a while to figure out the right formula too because of allergies. So that was a process.
So was she colicky?
So she was very colicky.
Yeah.
But I felt like a lot of times with what I've either seen or with what I've heard, if a baby's crying, it's because they're either not feeling well or they're tired or you need to change their diaper or they're hungry. But I just felt like I was just checking off all of those things, and she just still cried
I remember you
all the
telling me
time.
like hours, right? Like
all the time.
yeah,
All the time. And
that is definitely like torture.
Yeah.
to
Like
hear
it
that
is like
baby.
nails on a chalkboard times
Yeah.
a bajillion.
Yeah.
Like enough to give
Yeah.
PTSD. Like
Absolutely.
Do you feel like PTSD when you hear a baby cry now?
Oh.
Oh yeah, I know. That's
Yes.
like I'll be places and friends will be like, oh, and I'm like, oh, like, I feel like I have like the chills when I hear it. You know, I
Yeah.
get like the chills, and
Was that
Yeah.
months? Would you say how long did that like?
it was months. It
Because I
was months.
remember you guys moved into your house in what, October?
October.
I remember
Yep.
helping you. We closed in October.
Yes.
And I remember then I asking you, you're like, no, she's still crying.
Then it was still horrible because
Yeah.
I had her in July, moved into the new house in October. And I remember when I was still in the process of trying to get the house together and putting like stuff on the walls, I had this large like mirror that went up on our wall that I was just obsessed with. We had it at our previous apartments. And then I just remember trying to move it at one point, and Harper was crying, and I tried to move it. And when I did, something knocked it over, and the whole mirror just shattered. And I just remember just falling to my
Yeah.
knees and
Yeah.
just
This
losing
is
it
it.
at that point, and just feeling
Yeah.
hopeless and not knowing how I was going to be able to literally continue on like
Yeah.
this, feeling that way.
That's rough, and I can relate.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Moments where you just want to have a complete breakdown.
Did you end up
Maybe had one.
getting any help from like the postpartum side of things?
I didn't. What I did find helpful, I mean, I will admit, like, you know, when you go to the doctor, you go for those checkups and you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
answer those surveys, how you're feeling. I lied. I literally just
Right.
lied.
Talked
So
about
many
that in
people
that-
do.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so unfortunate.
Why you just felt like, why bring it up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, nothing.
Some people feel shame.
Yeah.
And this is gonna make me a bad mom if I say, I totally.
So you,
get that.
so you buried it.
Exactly.
You just buried it
I
away.
buried it. I tried to just talk about it, like going to like the mommy group with you, Jen. Remember we
Yes.
brought like the kids to the gym, like with the little mommy and like the baby groups.
Mhm.
Just trying to like talk to like some friends about it. Talking to my mom about it. Her and I have a really close relationship, so I at least would talk to her about it. But I just didn't want to go to an actual like doctor
Right.
or anyone like that and talk about it.
And I have to say, Donna's really like easygoing and always happy and peppy. So like, I know when you were going through, it was hard because that's not your normal demeanor
Yeah.
to be so worn out and worn down.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there were a lot of times too. I remember just being places and just leaving because Harper would just cry, and like I would be with my family, and we'd be either like pumpkin picking or at my brother's pool, and all the kids, like his children, are there, and all she did was cry. And I just remember like sometimes not even telling people I was leaving, just literally like just
Yeah.
grabbing my stuff and just
Bowing out.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was tough.
And that went on for a while, right?
It did.
Yeah.
It did go in for a while. I know it sounds horrible, but I joke around saying how I feel like when she turned 3, I'm like, I've always loved her, but I feel like when she turned 3, I was like, actually, like, I really started liking her. As horrible as that might
It doesn't
sound.
sound horrible.
Trust me.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Do you feel as if she were an easier baby, do you think maybe you would have had another? Because I know a lot of parents will say, my second is a terror. If it were the other way around, I never would have had a second child.
Yes, and I will say yes. I will say yes. My husband and I both say that. We're like, if she was easier, we could have seen, having another baby.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Like,
Mhm.
we'll be around sometimes little babies that you don't even know they're there.
Right.
Aw.
And I'll be like, if this was what Harper was like, I would
Like-
have been ready for like number
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
You know? But we both, it was rough. It was rough. And she also had torticollis.
Oh,
So I was bringing her, yep.
What
so
is that?
So that's basically like weakness of like the neck muscles.
Okay.
So like she favored one side of the neck. So, and I honestly think till today it's because of how she slept. I think it was because of her sleeping in one of those like the rockin' plays where she's
Yes.
like in the like
Mhm.
upright position, and she ended up favoring turning her head to one side.
Right.
And actually, it was my sister-in-law's sister, Amy, that noticed it. She was like, I feel like maybe you should get that checked out. My friend's child had
And
that.
the pediatrician didn't even flag it.
No.
Wow.
So I ended up bringing her in, and they did, say that she did have torticollis.
And you had to do therapies with that.
I had to bring her to
I remember
therapy
that,
for
yeah.
about a year.
And she cried. I remember you telling me, you're like, it was horrible.
Oh, the therapy was terrible. I remember even like the physical therapist just being like, it was just my husband, Harper, and I, in the room, and there were no other, patients in there. And the therapist said afterwards, she's like, I feel so bad for you guys. She was just like, this is very stressful, because she screamed the entire, time we were there. And then when we would bring her home, we had to continue with the exercises at home, like on our own. So I would make a joke about it, like when I would have to like do the exercises, I would tell Mark to record it. I'd be like, record this when she's a teenager,
Yes.
and she says we don't love her. We're gonna show her all these things.
This is what we went through.
That's what you did.
Yeah. She drove you to drink more wine, I guess.
Yeah. Yep, if that was even possible.
Dawn loves her wine.
Faces on top.
Yes. And then along with the torticollis also came a helmet that she had to wear.
Yeah.
Because since she favored, they do actually look cute. Because since she favored the one side, since she would lay that way, and
Yeah,
her
you
head
get-
was still flat, she
Right.
had that flat spot. So that was another stressful time of our lives, was trying to get her fitted just for a helmet.
Right.
I had to bring her to a place in New Brunswick, and you have to sit in a room, and it's basically a room, and she sits on a chair, and there's a screen in front of her, and you have to have her sitting with her head straight so they can get a good image of her head to make this helmet. And since her head, she really couldn't keep it straight up, and you really couldn't take your hands to hold it up because they couldn't have the hands in the
Right.
picture. We're literally, me and the other person there is like trying to hold it up with like just our finger. She's freaking out. I took a break to give her a bottle. Round 2, still didn't work.
Oh my God.
Took a break to try to just like change her diaper, calm her down. Round 3, still didn't work.
Wow.
So that's when the person was like, I think you're gonna have to bring her back another time. She's really upset. So the second time, my husband and his mother brought her in, found out they didn't have luck either. Still didn't work.
Oh
Didn't
my
get
gosh.
the picture they needed.
Wow.
So then the third time, the therapist she was going to said, why don't you bring her in early in the morning? I'll stretch out her neck, make it nice and loose. So this way, when you bring her the third time, maybe then her neck will be looser. It'll be easier for you to kind of keep it up straight and get that shot that you need. And we did that. And the third time, we
It works.
finally got it. Yes.
Third time's a
That
charm.
worked. Third time's the charm.
How old was
And
she?
that worked. At that point, she wasn't even a year old yet. Yeah.
That's so stressful.
She wasn't even a year old yet.
So that's a rough year, right? Like
Yeah.
postpartum and then
Yeah.
colicky
Yep.
baby and the torticollis and the helmet. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and within that year, new house, baby, new job. It was all the three things too, like in the
Wow.
same time.
The universe just like, oh, we'll just dump this all on
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Like,
How
yeah,
much you can
handle it.
take.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
So
it
then-
was rough.
I guess you were just trying to find your groove, right? Like,
Yeah, definitely trying to find the groove. And then as time went by and she started getting, easier, we thought about it, but still just wasn't 100%. And of course,
it didn't feel right to you.
it didn't. I just didn't feel like, honestly, I was just really worried about two things. Having twins, because it runs in my family. Not that there's obviously anything wrong with that, but just, for some people it might work. I just know that for my husband and I, if we had twins, it would have been rough.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it, like I said, twins, triplets runs on,
Wow.
side of the family.
Yeah.
So I knew that could have definitely been a possibility. And then I know I hear stories if the first one's great, usually the second one is wonderful, but
You don't want to gamble.
I didn't want to gamble it. I
Yeah.
spoke to someone who at a party once that had 2 kids, and she was like, she's like, my second daughter's so rough. She's like, I remember people always telling me when I was pregnant with her, like, well, since your first one was really rough, this one's going to be great. She's like, it wasn't. She's
Oh,
like,
no.
I remember taking that with me
Yeah.
and thinking
You're like,
that,
well, I can't go through that.
Right.
and I was also, it was a lot of stress for my husband and I, and it was just something I thought about,
Did
but I
it
was really
take-
scared to do it.
Yeah. And did
Your
that take a toll?
relationship?
Yeah, exactly. On your marriage, your relationship.
It was definitely, you could tell we were definitely just we were stressed
so
out.
hard.
Yeah.
You're probably
Strung
sleep
out.
deprived, stressed out, and you're each other's punching bags, unfortunately.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I think the first year is so stressful anyway.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Having a baby,
Yeah.
and then you add,
All that.
all the stressors you guys were going through. So
Yep.
I think that's how self-aware you are is impressive, because I think a lot of people would just have another anyway, thinking this is what I should do.
Yep.
She needs a sibling. I should have another kid, but
And get burnt out. From
yeah, but that you're so aware for yourself, for your daughter, for your relationship, your husband.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
impressive. I
That
think.
is impressive.
Thank you.
And yeah, do you feel like, I guess, when Harper was probably 3, and as she got older, people saying, "Are you gonna have more?"
oh yeah.
You get
Yeah, like how much
all
did
the
you
time.
hear that from everybody? Like,
Oh,
and,
yes.
and how did you kind of
bond. Yeah.
respond? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I knew I was going to hear it from a lot of people. And I did. And like people that, I remember one of my very, very close friends saying to me, she was just like, so you have to have another child. And I was like, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And then she was just like, well, she's like, the best gift you can give a child is a sibling. And I responded with, I'm pretty sure the best gift I gave my child is the gift of life.
Yeah.
Oh,
A
yeah.
happy mother.
Yep.
Yeah.
Happy
Happy
parents.
marriage.
That's
Yeah.
and I just and Harper, like I said, she just turned 7, and so many times like she'll just randomly be like, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. And I'll be like, why are you happy? What makes you so happy? And she's like, I'm just happy. So
I love that.
I think like
So
I think that it's about the quality, of
Yes.
the life that she's getting, not so much just the quantity and how many like siblings I maybe would have given
Yeah.
her, but I definitely do hear that. It stopped. I think now that I'm also getting older and they see she's 7, people are just realizing.
They realize you're not happy.
It's on purpose. Yeah.
Just share this to your
exactly.
Facebook, this podcast episode, so everyone
Right.
knows.
No, don't ask.
One and done.
I guess, what age was she, or when did you realize I am going to only have one? Was it right away, or was it as she was getting older?
Well, I definitely thought it right away when I cried.
yeah,
I
that
was like,
instinct. I don't
definitely
want more.
one, definitely
Yeah.
don't want more. I want to say probably when she was maybe like around 3, because I figured, you know what, she's getting easier, she's getting better. I'm like, she's still at an age where if I did have a child now, they wouldn't be too far apart, where like this could still work, But then I want to say probably, I don't know, maybe like around like 5. That's when I was like, you know what? I'm like, I think
I'm good at my decision.
we're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I think we're
Like
good.
you and your husband kind of like sat down and like, did you like a pros and cons or anything like that? Or you just kind of were like, yeah, we're good, right?
Yeah, we didn't even go really
Yeah.
into like the pros and cons, but
Yeah.
like we think that like we're good.
Good.
And I keep Harper busy. I mean, we're fortunate that we live in a town where it's in a cute like little city, Bordentown, where
I love your town.
Thank you.
You were saying, yeah, when she gets out of school, everybody's there and wants to play. And
Yeah. It's we live in Bordentown City, and it's very family oriented, and
go walk a lot
sometimes
of
I
places.
walk everywhere. I pick her up after school, and so many times I'll just talk to like the moms in the playground that she's friends with their children, and we're like, you just want to come over, and
I love
we'll
that.
just walk back to someone's house. The kids will play, and then walk back home, and so that part is
Yeah.
very nice. It's
Yeah.
like she has a lot of siblings in a way, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
she's not
go- they have to go
lonely.
home.
They go home.
yeah, they go home after.
Yeah.
They go home.
And there are
Yeah.
benefits to having one, right? Like, what do you find the best benefits are?
Yes, definitely benefit. I just feel like I'm able to just give her all of me,
Aw.
and again, like I know I would, if I had 2 or 3, like I would try my hardest to do it as well. I mean, I know like, God, we're moms, we're like super women, you can make that possible. But for me, I feel like that's just one thing that I feel like it's really easy for me just to give her all of me. I just feel like she's my little sidekick.
Yeah.
Like we're just go everywhere
You
together.
guys are tight. I know
We are tight.
You're off in
yeah.
the summer because your schedule.
That's also nice too. Yes, since I work at a high school as a school counselor, I'm off in the summer, so we have all that time together.
And do you love that?
I love it.
Yeah.
I do. I love it. Towards, I want to say at this point, I'm kind of, I think, ready though. Like,
Yeah.
I love her, but
Yeah.
she needs to go back to school.
Yeah.
I need to go back to
Totally. Totally.
And your husband and you are on the same page, right? Like Mark is very on board with, he's happy with one.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Very happy.
I too only have one child, and I am a widow. But prior to my husband passing away, my son was going to be turning 2, and we did sit down one night. We're like, because he was 10 years older than me, so he was 46 at the time, and I'm 36, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, are we gonna go for number 2, or are we just gonna keep things as is? And in my head is like all the things that probably everybody said to you. Well, your kid really needs a sibling, and they need a playmate for life. And like I kind of thought about that. Like I have an older brother, but he's 12 years older than I am. So while I had the benefits of being abused by an older brother, there was a big part of my life where I was kind of like an only child, and like
Right.
for vacations and some things, I'm like, oh, but like I would have loved to have had a sibling, but also at the same time, I was spoiled, And then my husband was one of 5, so like he never had new clothes, College wasn't in the cards for him, those aspects of it, and he's like, siblings aren't as cracked up to be as like what you may hear or think and stuff like that. And we had kind of like made the decision like we're okay if it's just Michael, because we can devote the time, the attention, the money.
Mhm.
He can go to any college he wants to without, worrying about if we're able to pay. Like we're you know, like kind of decided that, and I think that's okay. You know, like it's. And we got the question, when is baby number 2? Like literally, I feel like as soon as we had him, it was like, when's baby number 2? And like, we can't catch our breath, you know? Like, oh my God, because yes, the first year is hard. It's really, really hard. And he was like, you know, he was a good baby, but like it's hard, you know. So I respect, you know, obviously your decision to do that too. And I'm on the same wavelength as you. I mean, you know, it's like.
And is it hard for you, Sue, when people ask you, like?
I mean, I still get asked.
I know.
But there's still time. You can
I
get
know.
another kid.
Yeah.
Like, I feel fulfilled. You know? Like, I feel fulfilled with Michael. And no offense to anybody, but like, hats off to parents to multiple kids. Because holy shit. If like being outnumbered, you know, like, oh. My hat goes off to you guys. It's a lot. It's a lot. And then dividing your love, you know, like I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
But obviously your heart expands, you know, to love your children. But
Yeah, and I feel like, you know what it is? I guess it's our society, like that pressure, like, are you going to have another? And that pressure of should I? And, you know, 2.5 kids, right? Like,
but that's the beauty is like that there is the pressure, but like we're all individuals and we all have a unique outlook on life and like what is gonna make us tick and make us happy and what works for your family, you know,
and being in tune with that. Like, I love that you both are in tune with what is, you know, important to you.
Yeah, for me it was so a non-negotiable. I had to have a second child.
Yeah, you had a big craving for that.
Yes, yeah, and I too had a bad postpartum period, but I'm also one of 4 and I love my siblings and I'm close with them, and so I also felt like I had to.
Yeah.
You know, there was part of that, but I did want that for my son as well. And I have 2 stepsons. So there was also that. They had, you know, they have that bond. And while my son shares a bond with them, I also wanted him to have, you know, a
sibling.
Yeah. So obviously I have a 2-year-old now, but it is so hard. And they love each other so much and they have such a special bond. But there are times where he has said to me, you only love Junie and you don't spend, you know, that
guilt.
And he I think feels that way sometimes just because she needs so much more attention.
Right now. Yeah.
And I explain that to him and I try to make time for him and I to do things alone. And when I ask him, he says, can Mike and June come? So it's funny when I ask him to spend time alone with me. He doesn't even want to. Yeah. So it's funny. But I totally will say a lot of things would, I'm sure, be so much easier with just one kid. I would never trade it. You know, I love both of my children and I would never trade that for anything. But I can completely understand and see why people would choose just
and I think it's a case by case, right? Like I remember I have 2 kids, but as my son was getting to be 3, people are like, do you want another one? And in that moment, no. When he was 2 and 3, no, he was a hard kid. No, I didn't. And then it wasn't until he was 4 that I was like, actually I do. And I think you just have to like be honest to yourself. Like, are you wanting another one more than you don't?
Right.
And for me, I did. And it wasn't until he was almost 5. He was 4 when she was born, but he was about to turn 5 that we had our second.
Yeah.
And for me, that was right. You know, where some people will be like, oh, if you have 2, you should have them really close. But, you know, it was right for us.
Yeah. My son was very easy. He was, aside from the fact that he never slept, he was such an easy
chill
baby.
kid, right?
And he's still really chill.
Yes.
My daughter is more difficult. She's not like a terror, but she is more difficult.
Active.
For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's just a personal, you know, what works for you and your family, your relationship, your dynamic.
Well, I would say, like, just to folks out there, I know it's like a topic. It's an easy like question. It's a softball question to somebody like, "Oh, when's baby number 2?" But like, maybe don't. You know, maybe don't.
Yes.
Like, just if you think you want to ask or you want to say it, you don't know what someone's going through. You don't know what the family position is. Like, those are one of those questions. Like, I feel like let's just reel that back in.
I
you know?
agree.
It's kind of none of your business.
Yeah.
And if someone wants to share that information with you, then they will. You know. But I think like that's. You know, or like people that haven't had when you're having a baby, you know, like
that's tough.
I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more with that because I was actually just speaking with a woman yesterday, and I told her how I was going to go onto the show and what the topic was because she has one child as well, but he's older, he's 15. And she said, that's a topic that's rough for me. She said, because it wasn't my choice to have just one.
Yeah.
She was just like, I always wanted to have more than
Right.
one. But she has, unfortunately, she has a heart condition. And because of that, you know, and since she's had the baby, she's just been on medication. Because of that, it'd be extremely risky for her
Right.
to have a second, you know. And
Yep.
she said, you know, and I have a child now, so if I took that risk of trying to get pregnant and having a second child, God forbid something happens to me,
Yeah.
I have another child already that
Of
I have to
course.
worry about,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
So I felt really bad, you know, when I was talking to her about that. And that's why, you know, like you said,
You don't know. Just
Yeah.
think it's yourself.
right.
Yeah. Especially when people don't have any children.
Oh,
and,
gosh.
Oh, when are you having kids? So many people have fertility issues. And
Mhm.
Or just don't want it, and that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like you have to respect, and like, this is gonna sound crazy, but I have two. But there came a point after my daughter was born, she was an amazing baby. And I was like, do I want another one? And then I was like, no. But I feel like sometimes you know, I don't know if it'll always be a black and white answer for people, like yes or no. And sometimes you may be in that gray area.
Yeah.
But I would say just listen to yourself more. Like if you, for me, when I thought about it, I was like, I don't really want a third. I'm happy with two. You know, rather not. So if you're more inclined one way, then listen to that.
Yeah.
And like my friend sent me an article. She's a mom of one, my friend Amanda, and she sent me this article, and it was like sometimes when you have that longing to like, you know, have that baby or go back in time, it's just because you just miss that like moment, and you want to go back with like maybe, you know, well rested and just hold that baby again or rock them to sleep, and you just want to relive those precious moments. But doesn't mean you want another one, but just means you miss those little sweet moments in life.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Find a
Yeah.
friend with a baby.
Right, to cuddle it, to fill
My
that
baby said
need.
no.
Yeah.
Take the baby off your hands. Yeah.
Scream.
Yeah.
Get it out of your system.
Yes. Give that baby back.
Right.
But, yeah.
Wait for grandbabies and
yes.
sometimes.
Nieces, nephews, all of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Very
No, thank you.
insightful.
No,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Like I said, this is a topic that I feel like I discuss a lot. So to actually sit here and speak with you about it and hopefully, you know, get this feedback out to someone else, maybe
Yeah.
another mom who's feeling maybe a little guilty about being, you know, having only one
One,
child.
right.
Because
Definitely.
I know that I sometimes would listen to podcasts or even just pull up articles online of like, you know, the pros and cons of having one child and is it okay to have only one child, just to see what other people experience and what they have to say, and just reading those helped me. So that's why I was hoping by
Great.
talking about this today,
yeah.
maybe if there's someone else out there feeling this way, maybe this could help them a little bit too.
Yeah,
For
especially-
sure.
Yeah.
to listen to themselves, right? Because
Yeah.
you listen to yourself. And yeah.
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 Yeah, I honestly never would have even thought about it. So I appreciate you coming in and talking about it.
Of
really.
course.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So to all the mamas out there of 1, 10, whatever, you know, you're amazing. The work that we're doing is always hard. So whether you're a mom of one or many, like, hats off to you.
That's right.
Hats off.
Agreed.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening today.
We'll see you next week.